the February 16th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Directors for Piedmont Community Charter Schools to order. Piedmont's mission is as a tuition-free school that offers a superior college preparatory education experience for this community and its families. We'll now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. We do have one public comment that came in and asked to be read via email. I will note that there were two other emails that were not specifically asked to be read, but were in support of this statement. Remote Fridays seem to be a favorite part of this school year. Remote Fridays have been a great opportunity for high school students to independently manage their own time as they will after graduation. It also allows teachers and staff more space for planning and professional development, since the high school students love Remote Fridays. It offers a nice feature for potential high school students. I trust your judgment and appreciate your consideration in considering keeping Remote Fridays at the high school for 2021-2022 school year. That statement was sent in by Natalie Parker. Is there any other public comments?
No, sir.
Ms. Kelly? Item number 4 is awards and recognition.
We do have an awards and recognition report tonight. Over 70% of our high schoolers received recognition from the Patriot Pride for their academic excellence by obtaining a 3.0 grade point average or above for first semester. So we are very happy about that. And even remote students came in and picked up their t-shirts.
Oh, excellent.
Based upon the results this week, our girls varsity team has a chance to make the state playoffs. So we are rooting them on.
All right.
And as of today, 61% of our seniors have been accepted into a college or university. And we will continue to get more of those.
Wonderful. Item number 5 on the agenda is approval of previous minutes. You have in front of you the January 19th minutes. Is there any questions or comment on those? Everybody's had a chance to look at them. Do I hear a motion on those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's unanimous. Item number 6 on the agenda is reports, and the first report up is the Treasurer and Finance Committee report.
All right. So we're going to start with the budget report. And if you look at the bottom line, you're going to notice that there's an increase over last month. And so we have some changes that we actually need to approve tonight to be able to reflect that actual increase.
Increase to the surplus?
Increase to the surplus, yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes. It's an increase, net increase of $75,890.58. That actually, we have already trued up the revenue. We have an increase in our state revenue of $16,809.62, and an increase in federal revenue of $99,078.30. Of that federal revenue increase, however, we did have to increase line item number 3, the books and supplies account. We had to increase that by $39,997.34. So the net of those 3 changes is a positive impact on our surplus, again, of $75,890.58. So
That's good news.
those changes are already reflected in this report. There's one additional change that's not reflected that we would like to add tonight, and then all these changes do need to be approved. We would like to add to line 13, the other food / or office line, we'd like to add $10,000 to that, just to allow us to do a few additional things we'd like to do here at the end of the year. That will impact the surplus. So that would drop the surplus down by 10,000, make it 718,000.
And those things you're talking about doing with that extra money on line 13 is
Teacher
Staff-
appreciation.
staff appreciation.
Staff appreciation, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, those changes need to be approved.
Any questions about those? Do you hear a motion?
I make a motion, we approve adding $10,000 to line 13 for staff appreciation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. During the discussion, I'll ask the original motion. Would you include the three changes that are already represented in this?
Can I say as presented?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we accept the budget increases and to add the $10,000 to staff appreciation as presented by the Finance Committee.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's unanimous.
Okay, all right. So with those changes, I'll continue with the report. Again, looking at the budget report, it shows a surplus of $728,803.26. That will go down by $10,000, but still an increase over last month. That would be a net increase of $65,890.58. So that puts us in a fairly good position for this year. So I think we should be good there. On our surplus and cash report, this is
Can I
as of...
point out one thing before you move on?
Sure.
You know, we have certain covenants we have to meet for the
Oh, yeah.
bond loan.
Yes.
And one of those is a debt service coverage ratio over 1.1. And we're now at 1.36, which is a very, very good position, very strong. And our projected days cash on hand, I think we're required to keep 75, is that right?
Yep.
We were targeting 90, and we're now at 115 days cash on hand. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
very good position.
Yep. On the surplus and cash report, this is as of January 31st. Operating fund had $2,103,873.63. Special funds is $14,804.78. Our investment account was $1,820,430.03. IDA account has $56,576.51, and petty cash of $1,000. Gives us total cash of $3,996,684.95. Our anticipated fund balance, our cash and investments on hand as of June 30th, 2020, is $3,805,945. Adding this year's current budgeted surplus of $728,803.26 gives us expected cash and investments as of June 30th, 2021 of $4,534,748.26. Back out the investment account of $1,820,430.03 gives us expected cash available as of June 30th, 2021 of $2,714,318.23. And then our bond funds, this is the bond funds that are still held by U.S. Bank. Actually, in the bond fund has $428,505.36. The debt service reserve fund has $1,794,007.60. And the project fund is at $612,401.95 for total bond proceeds at the bank of $2,834,914.91. So about 10% of where we started. All right. And if nobody has any questions, that's all I've got.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Item 6B on the agenda is the head of school report.
Good
Dylan?
evening, board members. I'm very happy to tell you that today, as of just a minute ago, we have 874 applications for our lottery, and that's got us right on track where we were 2 years ago before the expansion.
Pretty
Some-
amazing. Yeah.
Yes. And we did have a parent information Zoom meeting. We had over 200 people sign up, and a little over 100 actually attended. And then after that Zoom meeting, the next day, I emailed out the recorded version, so they would have that if they would like to watch it. We're going to do our next meeting, Zoom meeting, we're only going to have two, will be March the 2nd. And again, I'll email everybody that applied since the last time and give them the opportunity to have us live. Another thing we did after that Zoom meeting was we provided several hours the next day, and we sent a sign-up sheet to all of those parents who had applied, and if they wanted to talk to us individually about their children, they could speak to a director or me or our exceptional children's director, and we did have some sign up, and that went well.
That's great.
Some other good news I want to tell you about today. We are working with a local pharmacy, and they are going to be providing the Moderna vaccine to our staff. So our staff was able to start calling today and making appointments if they were interested in getting the vaccine, and I've heard that some have already got appointments lined up, and we are very excited to be able to offer this to our employees.
Yeah, really great. We appreciate the local support there.
Yeah, it's really working out much better than I anticipated, so that's always good. All right, so first on my head of school report, I have the compliance submission report. So we have been busy this month. There's an annual report survey that is due every year. So that was submitted on February the 2nd. We have to submit what our current board criminal history policy is. We submitted that on February 10th. We really did. All we had to do was submit a statement that we were not a part of an EMO for the third item on there. Then we have a quarterly financial report that is due to Emma for our bond loans, and that was submitted on February 10th. A statement of our student count on February the 10th that was submitted. A statement of our students by grade. So all of these have to do with the bond loan. Listing of new positions for directors and assistant directors resulting from expansion. So we had to tell about our key personnel changes, and that was done on February the 10th. And then last, a disclosure of termination of the school's affiliation with Team CFA and the elimination of CFA board member seat and an addition of a parent rep seat for the high school. So that was submitted on February the 10th.
Is that an annual submission?
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically changes to governance during the past year?
Yes,
Okay.
whatever those changes are, yes. Okay, next we have the enrollment report. So as of February the 8th, last Monday, we had 1,773 students enrolled. And then we have the withdrawal report, but also noticed that we had early graduates.
I was like, wow.
So 10
Yeah.
of those were early graduates. So not really withdrawals, but that's what it looks like because our number's gone down. But we're very proud of those students.
So are those students going to march?
You know what? That's a good question for Mr. Bridges. Will you go?
Mr. Bridges?
We were wondering if the students who early graduated, are they going to be marching in?
They have the option to. Most of them do choose to actually walk at graduation, so that they have that option. And I would tell you that most of the time they do.
Awesome.
We've had a couple situations where kids had already entered into the military, but most of them do opt to walk at graduation.
That's great. Thank you.
Excellent.
And a lot of times if they, or the few times it's happened, if they don't walk, they usually come in and pick up their cap and gown and we take pictures with them and things like that, you know, if they're off somewhere else or in the military. All right, next we have the personnel report. And since the last board meeting, we have hired a kindergarten teacher assistant. And that will need to be approved. The teacher assistant who did have this position, they had to move, so it opened up another position.
Any questions about the personnel report? Do we hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's unanimous.
All right, so next, Mrs. Richards has another update to our beginning teacher support plan.
Yes. So you all kindly voted in January with the additional statement that is on the front page, and I submitted it to our regional representative, and then she sent me back more revisions. Woo-hoo. So this is really to make us in compliance with the state requirements for Piedmont, where they did our monitoring visit in December. So we just needed to make sure that we covered what they found that we needed to work on in our monitoring visit. And that's really with our mentors, those veteran teachers who are willing to help and assist the beginning teachers get through their first 3 years. So we added a section for mentor selection. Our letters of intent went out today to current staff members looking for interest. So anybody who is interested in becoming a mentor for our beginning teachers, at least there we have a starting off point for those people who are interested in mentoring newbies. And then we will get input from the school directors, the school assistant directors, the instructional coaches, the technology facilitators, and the grade level chairs. And we will develop criteria for the best person to be a mentor for our new hires, if we have any. We like to have the same mentor work with the same beginning teacher throughout their years, since it establishes a relationship, providing it's a good one. So mentors will go through their training in the North Carolina Effectiveness Educator System. Woo, I'm happy I remember that. There's a 10-hour course, and they will receive credit for mentoring in the 21st century, so that will help with their training. I will set up monthly mentor meetings because I want to make sure they're supported too, along with the beginning teachers. We have to make sure that our veteran teachers are taken care of. And then we just had to beef up our observation procedures for the BTs based on what our rep told us, and that's that big section in yellow, just making sure that we'll ensure that teachers, principals, and peer evaluators are trained to be observers. The administrators will conduct 3 observations of BTs lasting more than 45 minutes or longer, or an entire class period, if anybody teaches less than 45 minutes, but I'm not sure a class period is less than 45 minutes. Make sure we have our post-conferences with our beginning teachers within 10 days of their observation to provide the most efficient and effective feedback. And then making sure their professional growth plan is what it needs to be, or guide to steer them in the right direction if we feel that they need something more to work on. And then we'll be in participation with the compliance, which we just went through, so we'll have a couple years before we're next one.
Any questions about the beginning teacher support program? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the updated beginning teacher support plan.
Second.
A motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is unanimous.
Thank you, Ms. Richards.
Thank you.
All right, next is the discussion about the updates to the North Carolina Strong Schools Toolkit. And basically what I want to talk about is kind of where we are. And I feel like we are on track with following the toolkit. The only thing that was changed was the wording. Kindergarten through fifth grade students should return to in-person instruction 5 days per week to the fullest extent possible while following all public health and safety protocols, with one exception: schools serving children kindergarten through fifth grade do not need to adhere to the 6 feet social distancing requirement detailed on page 6 of this toolkit, which is Plan A. So we went into Plan A 2 weeks after that was initially started back in the fall, but we were doing the 4 days a week and remote Fridays. The next bullet point is for 6th through 12th grade. So let me start over. 6th through 12th grade students should return to in-person instruction 5 days per week to the fullest extent possible while following all protocols, including the 6 feet social distancing requirement detailed in Plan B. So that is right where we are right now, except for being in school 5 days. Remote learning, it is expected that all schools will also offer full-time remote instruction for higher risk students and teachers, and for families opting for remote learning for their children. So we are on track following these guidelines. Kindergarten through fifth grade is in Plan A. 6 through 12 is in Plan B. As of January the 20th, we have offered all students the opportunity to return to in-person learning for second semester. I am confident that everyone that wanted in-person instruction is currently at school. I have asked the directors that as students request, that they be allowed to return if space is available 6-12. K-5 is in Plan A, so if anyone changes their mind, they can return. All they have to do is contact their director. Not everyone that initially wanted a spot actually returned. We don't foresee the need to have more lotteries. Right now, our overflow areas are not full. Now, they might be for somebody's schedule. It's going to depend on their schedule. So we will accommodate everybody 6-12 that we can. For students who chose in-person learning, they should attend unless there is an illness, because they're taking the spot that potentially another student could have if we get in that situation. So we do have some students who wanted 4 days a week in person, but maybe they're only coming 2. So we are going to be using our social worker to work on those instances. I discussed that with her today. So I contacted Dave Machado, and I asked him if we had to return for 5 days. And he said that charter schools have flexibility to do what is best for their communities. So I would like to recommend continuing with 4 days a week and remote Fridays, because our teachers have 2 preps a day and some 2 preps per period in high school. Because they are serving in-person and remote students simultaneously, they need this time on Friday to plan and remediate with their students. So I have asked our staff board reps if they would share with us what the benefits of remote Fridays are for our teachers, and we're going to start with Mr. Ballard from the high school.
Thank you. So I appreciate the opportunity to at least voice some of what we've been talking about since the discussion of going back 5 days has come up. Because we are, we've already allowed for anybody who wants to, like Ms. Killen said, to return to school and be in person 4 days a week. I started asking some of our staff what they do on the remote Fridays in order to benefit some of the students who either aren't there 4 days a week or just students who are struggling in general. The reason that I'm in favor of continuing the current schedule that we have, where we have 4 days of in-person instruction and 1 day of remote instruction, really centers around benefiting the students who are at risk. I know that all of us in here probably at some point have taken an online class, and I don't know everyone's individual experience, but I know from my own that online learning requires a lot of self-dedication and discipline, and that was a lot to ask of me when I was in college. We're asking students who are, in the 6th grade and up to be able to do that at the moment and to stay on pace with, curriculum guidelines. I think that what the Friday, remote Fridays offer those students is, and offers the teachers, is the opportunity to catch up on anything that they are behind on. So a lot of our teachers spend those remote Fridays working one-on-one individually with one student, or one student at a time, in order to help them to catch up on any work that they may be behind on. Other ways that Fridays have benefited a lot of our teachers is that, and Mr. Pruitt can probably speak to this, but planning for remote instruction is a lot different than planning for in-person instruction. And I called out to a lot of people that I know that work in various school systems around the state, private and public. And everyone I talked to, or out of everyone I talked to, no one is doing what our teachers are doing. They're not teaching online instruction or kids who are remote and kids who are in person synchronously. They're not teaching them at the same time. And to plan for that instruction requires a lot more time. A lot of our high school teachers, 6 in fact, teach 4th period plug-ins or an extra plug-in so they don't get a planning period. So that day has been very beneficial, and it's actually made their other 4 days of instruction better. And so because of this, I really strongly encourage you all to continue the current schedule that we're on, because I don't see it being very beneficial to the in-person students that we already have, but I do see it possibly hurting the remote students that we have. When you count it up, it will add 10 days of in-person instruction, and I think those 10 days could be more beneficial if we continue our current practice of working and helping those kids who are maybe behind a little bit because of remote instruction to catch up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. And now I'd like for Ms. Baird from the middle school to speak.
First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Richards for encouraging the middle school teachers to send me emails to express their reasons for continuing remote learning days on Fridays. The list that I will be sharing with you is a consolidation of the emails that I have received this past week from the teachers. I appreciate all the middle school teachers that sent me emails. Some of them were the individuals, some of them, a few of them were grade level teams that sent me an email to express to share their insights concerning the remote Fridays. Since the start of the school year of 2021, PCC teachers have met many challenges while pursuing what is best for both in-person students and at-home students. We believe that remote learning on Fridays has been very beneficial to our students, parents, and staff for the following reasons. It allows time to work one-on-one or with a small group of students on Zoom to provide extra help or to reteach a skill. This especially helps the kids that are at-home learners and who are never on campus. It allows time to contact parents about attendance, behavior, assignments, and grades. It allows time to administer makeup tests to students who have missed tests during the week because of absences. Teachers are able to meet, discuss the needs of the children, and strategize for students that will need extra help. It allows time to plan lessons, especially since we are teaching with kids on Zoom and in person. Due to the IEP meetings, the PLC staff meetings, grade level meetings, and et cetera during the regular week, Friday remote days provide more time to plan for the week and in advance. It also allows time to search for new lesson ideas. We watch math and other subject webinars. We research different and better ways to teach our subject areas. It allows time to create workable documents from paper copies that remote students need to access. In other words, all lessons, assignments, assessments, and et cetera have to be created into a digital format, which will eventually be posted into the Google Classroom, and this requires a lot of time. It allows time to search for new lesson ideas, and we're looking for lesson plans that will reach out not only to our in-person students, but also our students at home. It also allows more time to grade papers and projects, both paper copies and digital documents and presentations. Then it allows more time to update grades into PowerSchool so that the teachers and students are weekly involved with the students' progress. Teachers then have time to send individual emails with quarterly progress reports to each student's parents. It allows teachers to have reevaluation meetings, result meetings, and longer IEP meetings when needed. A note was made by the 6th grade teachers that 6th grade is the only grade level that does not have an uninterrupted planning period to do this, and EC teachers only have 45 minutes planning each day to have these meetings with the regular education teachers. Fridays also give our EC teachers the opportunity to work on writing IEPs, give extra support to the remote students, and extra support to any of the in-person students who require extra help and reteaching. Our EC teachers offer Zooms to students on Fridays. It also allows more peaceful and less stressful time for our elective teachers who teach 45-minute classes and who teach almost 300 students throughout the week, both in person and on Zoom. Parents are able to schedule medical appointments without their child missing their learning environment. Students benefit from having Fridays as a sort of a mental health day. They are able to get away from all the restrictions that are placed upon them when they are required to be in the building or on Zoom. In conclusion, the teachers at PCC Middle School feel that continuing the remote learning Fridays throughout the remainder of the school year is a necessity for the well-being of our teachers, our staff, and our students. Please know that we will all continue to work to our utmost ability to ensure that all of our students continue growing academically as well as mentally throughout the school year. I wish that I could hand out the copies of the emails that were sent to me by our middle school teachers to really fully understand or see or hear and read the passion that I heard from our teachers, that they cared about our students, but they also care about the well-being of our teachers and our staff. So I really appreciate you giving us this time to express what our teachers are feeling and truly are passionate about at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Baird. And now, Mrs. Hamilton, our elementary rep.
I'd like to say that having Fridays is very, very important to us as teachers. It gives us a chance, what the other two have already said, it's given us a chance to be able to create meaningful lessons because we're having to do remote and in-person students. And with younger children, there's more to getting their attention and drawing their attention, and especially if it's remote. And so we've had to do a lot of research on Fridays and to create these lessons. We use Seesaw, which is a wonderful program for our remote students and our in-person students. And so creating those lessons take like twice as long as what we would normally have to do. And our real desire is to have all of our children in our classroom and non-remote. But since we do have remote students and we have in-person students, we need that Friday as teachers to be able to regroup, to put our grades in, to make many emails. We're doing twice as many, maybe 3 times as many emails than we normally would during a normal school year because of the remote and the communication between the parents. And then we make our newsletter and we get prepared for the next week, and we just need that Friday to be able to call parents, especially with attendance and behavior, and to encourage them also, the parents, because this is a hard time, especially if their child's remote. The parents have to kind of pick up, and then and the children that are in person, we're meeting a lot of gaps because right now there's a lot of gaps because of being totally remote in the springtime last year. And so we're having to go back and find those gaps and then create our lessons to fill those gaps in so that we can make the students the strongest students that they can be to be ready for 3rd grade. Well, I'm 2nd grade, so to be ready for 3rd grade, because our priority is our children and their learning and their education and their emotional well-being. And the teachers that I work with are very, very dedicated. And just the mention when Mr. Cooper said the 5 days a week, you could see the panic on their face. It would be fine if all the students would come to work or come to school to work, or all the students be at home would be good for 5 days. But doing both at the same time takes a lot of planning and a lot of effort, and we just need that Friday as teachers to do the best job that we can do for our children.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hamilton. That's all I have. Mr. Satterfield?
I think I'd like to just kind of go around and get everybody's impression of the information that we've been provided. There is clear direction, from the state that we should be in school 5 days a week. But, ultimately, one of the reasons that we're at a charter school is so that we're not governed completely by the state. So I'm curious what impression you have after hearing the teachers speak, and I do appreciate all the time you put in that. Obviously, gathering information from a group of people and distilling it into something that's, intelligible and timely is often difficult. So I really do appreciate you guys representing your folks. So maybe we'll just go around and, Alex, maybe if I can get you to start.
Sure. Yeah, I think that the direction from the state is, at the heart of it, they're trying to balance risk for the kids. So they're looking at the risk of getting sick versus the other risks that they have at home, which it names a few here: academic risk, mental health risk, food insecurity, and we know that there are other risks that these kids are facing. So that, to me, is not in place nearly as much for our kids that are in there 4 days a week currently with the current schedule, because as Ms. Killen covered, if they want to be in here, they can be in here. And we've made space. So I think that part of it, I'm glad that we have the freedom to do what we want to do, and I think we've received a very clear message of how the administration and the staff want to run it this year. They want to continue to run it with the 4-day schedule. I don't personally see any overwhelming logic that says that we would overturn this schedule and say, definitely got to get the kids in there that 5th day, because our situation is just not what a lot of the public schools in the state are experiencing. So those are my general thoughts on it.
Ms. Largent?
So the state is suggesting that students return in person for 5 days, but they also make the statement that it is expected that all schools will offer full-time remote instruction for high risk. And I recognize that some of the communities still feel like this is a high-risk period, so they still will keep their children remote. So yes, our teachers are having to plan for in-person and remote teaching. And those videos, those Google Forms, that seesaw conversion, it just doesn't appear on its own. These teachers are making these videos and these conversions, and they need time to do that. So I am comfortable with 4 days still in person and that 5th day remote, so that these teachers can continue to do the great preparation that they are doing. Putting this information in Power School and emailing the parents, it takes time to do this. And the teachers certainly need that time to do this. So I'm comfortable with the schedule remaining the way that it is.
Thank you, Ms. Largent. Mr. Pruitt, I'm particularly interested in your view, being a current teacher, a fairly new teacher.
This is my 4th year teaching, and I don't have the 5th day. So it's interesting to hear the teachers' remarks and comments. Of course, at the moment, my school district is still fully remote until this coming Monday. And then those that want to come in person will be in person, but I'm the full remote teacher, so I will teach all the remote kids. But after hearing the remarks and also seeing my daughter being remote right now and understanding that a teacher's having to balance teaching those remote kids and teaching the live kids, and I think that they're doing a really good job having to balance that, because that would be particularly difficult, having to manage the classroom management aspect of it, as well as teach the online kids as well, because it's particularly difficult for some of the younger grade levels as well. So I would definitely be in favor of leaving things as is and leaving that 5th day for helping the kids that need extra Zoom or planning purposes, and because it was stated earlier, there are some teachers that don't have a blended period at all. And I completely understand that as well. So I think for now, it's important. I mean, it's already, what is today, February the 16th? I mean, basically we have a little over 3 months left of school. So we've gone this far with where we are. So I say leave it as is till the end of the school year. And then we all say a special prayer, and hopefully in August we can try to start back normal again, as I use air quotes with that. Hopefully things will be more normal. So, yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark?
So, and I think Jeff just kind of mentioned this. I think this would be a different discussion if we were in September talking about this, than if we're in February, knowing that it wouldn't be effective until March if we were able to get it done. I think that our teachers have worked the end of last year and this year and developed a system that works not only for them but also for the students. And just from hearing some of the comments tonight and from talking to some other people, I can see that if you look at our school versus some of the other schools in the community or whatever, our students are still progressing. This is not a wasted year for our students as it is in some places. So I don't see that there would be a benefit of making a change this late in the school year that would completely change the way they've been doing things. So I mean, I'm definitely in support of leaving it like it is for right now.
Ms. Crawford?
All righty. So, I mean, everything that everyone has said has been great points. The teachers, that's awesome the way you put that together so that we can understand where we are. I think that, as Mark said, I mean, you have a system in place. Why change it with 2 months left? Because by the time you change it, you'll only have 2 months left. So I'm in favor as well as just leaving it the way it is so that we can finish out the school year strong because our students are doing well, and the ones that aren't doing as well, we have that day so that they can get help. The parents can get support. Without that day, none of that would happen. So I am with everyone else in keeping it in place.
Ms. Barker?
First of all, I want to say how proud I am of PCCS. We are doing so well. We have, even last spring, under the circumstances that we've had to endure, and for our teachers to do both is remarkable. Most school systems, and Mr. Pruitt even mentioned, he's going to do just remote students, but most school districts, the teachers either do one or the other. They don't do both. And most school districts do the cohorts where, you got a group of students that come 2 days and then they're remote. We've been doing 4 days for a while now. So, we've got the system going. The teachers are doing an awesome job. The students seem to be maintaining or even excelling, which is great under the circumstances. And, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to get there. I just don't want to jump too fast and then have to, do some backing up. So what we're doing right now is working. Let's keep it going and through the school, into the school year, and keep everybody's sanity straight and keep everybody empowered and we can show as a board, show our teachers, our students, our parents that we support them and what they're doing, and that we would like to see that continue through this school year.
So sorry. Ms. Greener?
I just
per what you said, Ms. Baird, of how you wish we all could have a copy of the emails to see the true passion. I think we don't need to see them. I don't need to, per what you read, that shows the passion that you guys have for not just the education, but the well-beings of the kids. Sorry, how hard you guys work for these kids and for the families. And I'm so proud that my family is a part of this school and my kids have gone through some of your very classes. I'm sure when you guys signed up to be teachers years ago, you never imagined that you would be educating and loving and caring for kids while they're in their living rooms or in their bedrooms and when they're in your classroom. And I am so proud of what you guys have done. And just I don't think we have a choice but to give all the teachers, what you've asked for. I think the Friday remote is just the gift, the best option for us all.
Well, I think it's pretty clear. I mean, where the...
Mr. McCraney's on the move.
Oh, Mr. McCraney, yes. Thank you very much. Mr. McCraney, you have any thoughts to add?
Is he frozen?
You might be muted.
He may be on
freezing.
You might be on mute, Mr. McCraney.
Did you hear that?
I think you guys froze. Yeah, I think you guys froze, but were you asking for my comment?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Personally, I echo a lot of the comments that were already previously mentioned. Personally, I think it's hard to comprehend the challenges and the hurdles that the teachers and administrators have faced over the last 12 months. I think they've done an outstanding job adjusting and adapting to the current environment. And I'm confident that we've done it better than most schools. So in short, my recommendation would be to continue with the 4 days and the 5th day remote.
Thank you, Mr. McCraney. So I appreciate all the comments and everybody kind of sharing their perspective. I think it's great. It's sort of, what this is about, being on this board and listening to the constituencies within the school community and doing the right thing. I think it's pretty clear that that the board would support maintaining the current schedule for the rest of the year. One of the things that really brought it home for me was Mr. Ballard's math saying it's basically 10 days of instruction, right? Mm-hmm. So, which 10 days are a lot, in the world of instruction, but they're certainly, the benefit there doesn't seem as if it's quite as pressing as it is in the abstract, right? In the abstract, my gut reaction is, let's get everybody in school as much as we can for as long as we can because there's gaps. And it's really good to hear the perspective from the teachers that this time is needed and necessary, particularly because there is remote and in-person instruction going on. We knew that it was going to be difficult, when it was first proposed, and I think it's been executed beautifully by the teachers and the administration, and at every step, the school has acted in the interest of the students to bring them back as quickly and as in the biggest numbers that we can safely, right? So, I think for me, it seems pretty clear, like that we're headed in that direction for this year. For next year, it's a different discussion, right? Because we don't know where we're going to be with the pandemic. We don't know if the vaccines are going to come in. Hopefully, we will not have a hybrid learning situation next year, because I think we would all agree that in-person 5 days a week is the gold standard that we're all trying to get back to. But until then, we're doing something different, but still pursuing excellence, right? Because that's our mission here, is to pursue excellence. And I think we've attained it this year. We don't know what, we're still in the dark a little bit, you know, about student achievement and where we are with those things. And maybe we have a little bit of information from the enrichment committee here coming up in a minute. But regardless of those numbers, I think it's been an extraordinary effort on the part of the teachers and the administration. But I do caution that we feel like we're doing very well, but we won't really know until we get the data, right? So I guess I would just say that as kind of as a caveat to our predicament. You know, we have to keep pushing for excellence, and it seems to me as well that excellence right now involves a remote Friday, right? So that teachers are catching up and students are catching up that are remote and can't be as focused as they might be if they were in class. So I appreciate all the discussion, and I appreciate the teachers bringing that to us. And I would ask Ms. Killen, is there anything we need to vote on, or we just sort of continue?
I think we can just continue.
Okay.
The
All
only
right.
other thing I have in your packet, I have two reports, but those are both going to come under enrichment. So I'll talk about the at-risk, and Ms. Huffstetler will talk about the EOC data, but I'm going to let Mr. Poole start off with that when it's time. I may have gotten my papers out of order, so if I did, I apologize. Is it done? Okay.
Which one do you want to do first? I think it's at risk.
You want to start?
We ready to move on to enrichment?
Yeah. She can do it from memory.
Item 6C on the agenda is enrichment committee.
Sorry.
Mr. Poole?
Okay, so good introduction. We do have some EOC, some end-of-course data to look at, and Ms. Huffstetler will discuss that, kind of give you an overview of what we've got in so far. And then Ms. Killen will talk about at-risk students. The only other thing that we discussed, and it got one measly little line in the minutes, thank you for taking minutes, was we did go over a calendar for the year, and then we'll have a good calendar going into next year to continue looking at what we need to look at. We talked about surveys some, and we'll probably brief everyone on that next month. So, Ms. Huffstetler.
Good evening, Ms. Huffstetler. How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing? I hope y'all doing well.
Good.
In your packet, you have first semester EOC data that we put together for you guys. We have for our accountability purposes, what goes into our school performance grade. The 4 courses in high school are biology, English 2, math 1, and math 3. So those are the ones that I will be discussing. You can see what I did is I put all the students that were in the class, so that's our denominator. Our numerator are the students who were proficient, and that actually gave us the proficiency rating. And then I gave you an overall rating right beside. So if you look at biology, you will see that overall we had 18% of our students that were proficient first semester. English 2, we had 78% proficient. Math 1, 84% proficient. And Math 3, 46% proficient. However, if you look in the column to the right of that, you will see the accountability. And the reason that I did that is because if you look at Math 3, you will notice that it's 88% instead of 46%. In Math 3, the only students that count in the school performance grade are those students who took Math 1 in the 8th grade, because they were not able to count in our Math 1 percentage. They count in the middle school percentage when they are in the 8th grade. Okay, so that is why you will see that 88% is part of the accountability in Math 3. So when I started looking at this, I wanted to try to find some positive areas. I felt like the English 2, Math 1, Math 3 were phenomenal. They actually were higher than they have been in the past for first semester. So I was very, very pleased with those proficiencies. So I wanted to look about growth. I wanted to see how many students met growth, how many people exceeded growth, and how many students did not meet growth. And so I went to the EVOS data and pulled that and looked at their proficiency. And in biology, you can see we had 10 students who exceeded growth, 17 that met growth, and 24 that did not meet growth. And then you can read that there for English 2, Math 1, and Math 3, and then the total. You can look at our total: 77 exceeded growth, 64 met growth, and 83 did not meet growth. So then I said, okay, I want to dig a little bit deeper, and I want to see how is this going to compare when I'm looking at the students who are in person versus those that are remote. And I was surprised because if you look at that, it's about even. You'll see that in biology we had 5 students that were in person that were proficient, and 6 remote students that were proficient. And not proficient, 16 in person, 35 remote that were not proficient. And then you can go on down and you can see that in English 2 is pretty even there, except for the not proficient. Math 1, we had more students in person that were proficient than remote, but our not proficient was pretty even there. So you can go through that and you can see that data, and I thought that was very interesting because I felt like that it would not look that way. I thought there was a possibility that our remote students would be, we would not see proficiency in them, and we did see proficiency in them. And I think that goes to our teachers and the hard work that they are doing right now to teach both remotely and in person. They are meeting the needs of our remote students, and it shows here based on the data that we have here. Going back to biology, just so you know, we have all of our honors classes this semester right now. So I look for that to go up tremendously. We also have implemented a new program, USA Test Prep. It is standards-based, so that means after a standard is taught, we can assess to see if the students mastered it. If they did not, they can remediate on Fridays. And I think that's where a big difference is, because I know as a 9th grader, I look at 9th grade students, because I was a freshman academy, I guess you'd say coordinator, and it was very important to make sure that those students received the number of credits that they needed to be able to go on to the 10th grade, which is 6 credits, so 6 out of 8. So I talked to those teachers very closely here as well, and one of the things that we made sure is if a student was not mastering the material, or if the students missed a day, they had to come in on Friday and Zoom with the teacher. And I think that paid off when I look at this data, that the students did come in and they did meet with the teacher to try to get that extra help that was needed. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Well, I'll just say right off, this is, I think, just the kind of thing that we need to be looking at, and I appreciate the Enrichment Committee for either asking for or facilitating this information. And I also thank Ms. Hufsteller and Mr. Bridges for providing it. It's invaluable, I mean, I think at this point. I think it's great. I think, we do see less proficiency, in the remote, which we would likely expect to see. But like you were saying, when you look at the proficients, they are more similar than you might expect them to be. I don't know, I'm freaking out about biology. Is this normal?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not normal.
Yeah, Jeff, go ahead.
Ms. Hofsteller, one question. You made the remark that the English 2, Math 1, and Math 3 numbers are higher than normal. But of course, the issue that we're talking about is biology. What, in the past, say last school year, what is a typical number for biology at PCCS?
Normally, we're around 70%.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
We are.
So we're struggling reaching everyone at this point, or just the remote kids? Would you say?
No, I think it's everyone. If you look
Yeah.
at it's where it's broken down to the remote kids versus the in-person students, I think that it's everybody. And I think it's just learning how to teach both.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, it's not often you see something that stark, but this is the reason you have the data, so you can correct the issue.
It'll be interesting to see what we get second semester.
Yeah.
Based on the things that we've implemented at this time.
Yeah.
Can
And I
make a
appreciate that
comment?
too.
I think typically when we do only regular students for biology first semester, I want to say is in the 40s last
Right.
year, so it's still not where we want it to be with that percentage we have now, but just know that we've got 3 sections of honors kids taking biology this time.
Right.
And typically we're up around 75–85%. Still don't think it's going to offset what we were hit with the first semester, but typically we're in the 40s range on the regular students in biology. And the reason why we offer the regular, we just feel like that their attention span is better to begin the school year. They're getting a fresh start, and then we do the honors because they're self-motivated throughout the year.
Right.
So that's our strength behind doing that. So we're optimistic that we'll see a major turnaround. Not sure it's going to be enough to offset what we ended up with last year overall.
Right.
And I think the other subjects had a mix of regular and honors. So that's a difference that you're seeing there as well.
Well,
Have you received any feedback from the biology instructor or instructors as to the number?
Yes, we have. We've implemented some things, but we have spoken with the teachers, yes.
Okay.
Let me just mention regarding the instructor, Ms. Hufstetter and I sat down and had a long discussion, very coachable and wants to try new ways, and it is a very challenging time with virtual and in person, but Ms. Hufstetter was very instrumental in getting the U.S. Tech Prep program implemented so that we could try some new methods as we pursue through this virtual and in person in biology.
right. I appreciate that. And I think all the board members would appreciate that it's a difficult subject to begin with, and I won't say that I ever did very well in biology myself. And, really tough times to bring it home, when you've got the split classroom and everything. But I appreciate that there's a plan in place to address it. I think we've always found that from the administrators, that they're proactive, and when they recognize an issue, it's immediately dealt with. And so I appreciate that, but certainly something to keep an eye on for Enrichment Committee as we go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further on Enrichment Committee?
Yes, Ms. Killen's going to touch on at-risk.
Okay.
Yeah, so this year for the first time, we have to submit our number of at-risk kids to the state. All schools do. It's due on February 22nd, and we were pretty much up to the wire at 4 o'clock getting this done for the board meeting today, so that's why you did not get it ahead of time. There's a whole lot of data that is looked at in elementary school to come up with, you know, who is at risk. So I also had Mrs. White give us her retention data for the last 3 years to compare. And let me preface this with, typically after 5th grade, and you can even see on her chart, 4th and 5th grade, there were 0 retentions. In middle school, we don't typically retain more than 1 kid per grade level. So it just gets it decreases dramatically after 3rd, because when you actively retain, we actively retain K2 if they are not on the appropriate reading level, because when they get to 3rd grade, if they're not reading proficiently, they can't read to learn in 3rd grade and up. So let's look at just kind of where we are, where we see ourselves right now. We don't believe we're going to be in this particular situation at the end of the year, and that's another reason to have remote Fridays so that our teachers can work with these kids. So for kindergarten, there are 6, and those are actually in person. Now, here's the thing. I don't know how many days each of these kids were remote and how many days they were in person, but where they are right now is what's listed on this report.
Okay.
Okay, so for 1st grade, we have 10 that are at risk, 1 remote, 9 in person. 2nd grade, we have 9 at risk, 2 remote, 7 in person. 3rd grade, we have 3, which that's pretty amazing, considering all of this started last March, and all of the new kids that we brought in. So do keep that in mind too. We have, you know, an extra class per grade level too, which could be contributing to these numbers. If they did not, there's just a lot of factors affecting it, because they weren't with us last year. We didn't have control from, you know, what happened last year when they went remote. 4th grade, we have 4, so 2 remote, 2 in person. 5th grade, we have 8, 2 remote, 6 in person. 6th grade, 4, 2 remote, 2 in person. 7th grade is our largest group, so 16. And also remember that in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we have about 60 new students per grade level that came from other schools. So 7th grade, we have 16, 10 remote, 6 in person. 8th grade, we have 12, 10 remote, 2 in person. And then 9th grade, we have a lot of new students also. We have 8 remote and 5 in person out of that 13. So we have staff that is actively working with these students and plans in place to help them. And we do not want to end the year, you know, in this same particular situation we're in right now. But when it comes to retention, like I said, our practice is to actively retain in K2 and prep them for 3rd grade, and have very few retentions in the other grade levels unless we are sure it will benefit them academically. And all of those situations are very different. But believe me, our administrators know each child, the situation they're in, what's going on with the teachers and with the parents, and they are working very hard to work together as a team for their success this year.
Do you think that, you know, it flip-flopped? So, you know, your younger grades, it seemed to be more of in-person that were at risk versus your middle and high school. Do you think that might be because the parent support with the younger grades? Because, you know, when they get older, like I know my kids, they're in high school, they don't want me helping them. So
I think a big factor is K-5 is under Plan A, so we don't have.
No, I'm signaling Holly. Holly's going to say something after you're
Okay.
finished.
I think a lot of it is the higher numbers are in person because in K-5, we have minimal social distancing, so anybody who wants to come back could have, anybody who wants to come back can be back, but yes, they need more practice, they need that supervision. I think we have more of them in person now. I know at the middle school level, 7th grade, which is my biggest number, is my least populated grade for in-person learning. We can't get them to school.
Okay.
Ms. White?
Thank you. For me, in the lower grades in particular, well, I would say, and probably in every grade, we had some of the kids who are listed in person right now. They were remote, and the teachers got on the phone and begged the parents to send their kids in person because they would learn so much better. And I would say 90% of the kids that we begged to come in person, they did come in person. So I'm glad that Mrs. Killen pointed that out. You know, she's not sure how long they've been in person. Some of them, we just met today in our PLCs, and we discussed the kids who were at risk again. And some of them just started last week. Some of them came in November. So a lot of those we did make sure we brought in. And, you know, it's
So
a
the
mix of
distribution,
kids
the
who've been
distribution
here
on this
before,
list may
but
not
probably
be
more kids who haven't.
as accurate as we'd like. Yeah.
But we are definitely working on that.
So the distribution on this list represents a lot of the in-person, could have come back on the,
January 20th.
January 20th or
Or later.
I will say a lot of ours they have been there the whole time. I did notice that when we were tweaking some of our numbers on that spreadsheet, that a lot of the kids that we were saying out loud, and when I would put the number on there, that they had been in person the whole entire time.
Okay. Mr. Poole?
Are there any other questions? The key for me right now and for us, I think, is to know that the administration and the staff are well aware of who the children are, what their individual circumstances are, and that they're pushing to get them off of this list. So as we proceed towards the end of the year, we're going to keep an eye on this list. We're going to break it down however we need to break it down. I don't think we're going to get into days remote versus days in person if they're listed or in person, or start date in person, but definitely look at new students versus old, things like whatever we can that we think is going to be valuable. But again, the key is that the focused remediation is being carried out for these kids, because obviously we don't want to be here at the end of the year. So
right.
Yeah. And I'm very grateful that we have had instruction 4 days a week, since the 3rd week of school.
Right.
And even we had instruction with a live teacher the first 2 weeks of school, whether they were remote or in person. So I think that has helped this list not be worse.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm repeating myself, but, and everyone else has been saying it, but I think everyone on this board really truly believes that the administration and the teachers are doing a fantastic job. And that when we look around, we feel like that the absolute best is being done. And that doesn't take away our quest for excellence and, wanting to get these kids back up where they need to be and those kind of things. But no one should take that as disparaging. It's just where we are right now and not where we're going to be in the future. So. Enrichment Committee, that's all?
that's it. Thank you.
Item 6D is Athletics Committee.
The athletic committee met last Tuesday. We discussed the sports that occurred in the fall and what we are currently in right now and then the spring. So for high school, the fall sports were cross country. We did have one student that qualified for state. He ended up placing 35th overall.
Excellent.
And the girls' volleyball team placed 4th.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Currently, we have junior varsity basketball, boys, and then varsity boys and girls basketball and cheerleading. And then in the spring, we will have softball, baseball, girls soccer, boys and girls golf. For middle school, in the fall, we had cross country and girls volleyball. Currently, we have girls and boys basketball. We do note that most of those players are 6th and 7th graders, so we are looking forward to a very strong team next year. And cheerleading. And then the spring sports, girls soccer, softball, and baseball. We did, high school and middle school are in new conferences. And due to that, some things switched up. One of which is that there will be no boys soccer in the spring for middle school because the schools that we compete with, they do their soccer in the fall. So that's why we won't have it in the spring. Also, 2 sports that we are looking into, and a decision can't be made yet because we have to wait and see what those conferences are going to be doing about the 2 sports. That's the swim team for high school and a tennis team for high school. We discussed a little bit about the new athletic building. It is looking to be a 2,200 square foot facility. That includes a 1,600 square foot weight training room with bay doors, a 200 square foot set of bathrooms, and 400 square foot storage area. And so they are waiting for a layout to be sent to them, and they're Mr. Bridges and Coach Radford are very pleased with the tentative plans. Mr. Bridges even noted that this really puts us in a position to be self-sufficient, that we don't have to rely on other places for our equipment and for some of the classes that will be offered. And lastly, they updated us on the gate and the fencing and the netting, which are almost all complete. The scoreboard will be going up soon. We're just waiting on some good weather. We're getting some quotes for the lights around the field. This field was surveyed by a company. They did it for us for free, which we're very, very happy and fortunate for that. This allowed us to be able to mark the field. And Mr. Bridges stated that he wants the middle school teams to have the opportunity to play some home games at the high school, so they're working on that. And we will meet again in April.
Excellent. Any questions? Athletics? Item 6E is Facilities Committee, and really the only thing that I know that's going on is we're sorting out the lighting for this theater. I think we got a proposal back from a new company, and it's been better vetted this time around, and so at some point we'll probably be we need to have a sit down and like finalize that, I think. Mm-hmm. The other thing is obviously the weight training and maintenance facility that we've been talking about. I did get a proposal actually today, which I haven't looked at, from the architect, which would include the civil engineering, because the sewer pipe goes out that way, and so we'll have to miss that somehow, either move it or bridge it or something. So he's got his proposal all together, and we'll move forward on that just as quickly as we can. Any other questions about facilities? Item 6F is Safety Committee, which is not met, and item 6G is Governance Committee.
Tonight, we have our second read-through, which will need board action, of the employee sexual abuse and sex trafficking training policy. So I will do the second read-through of that now. Pursuant to NCGS 115C-375.20, the school will train staff regarding child sexual abuse and sex trafficking awareness and reporting requirements. At least 2 hours of such training will be offered every even-numbered school year, beginning with the 2020-21 academic year, to all staff who work directly with students. The training shall include, but not be limited to, best practices from the field of prevention, the grooming process of sexual predators, the warning signs of sexual abuse and sex trafficking, how to intervene when sexual abuse or sex trafficking is suspected or disclosed, legal responsibilities for reporting sexual abuse or sex trafficking, and available resources for assistance. This training shall be provided by knowledgeable experts who may include local non-governmental agencies, local law enforcement officers, or other court officer. Source: NC Session Law 2019-245. Any questions about this policy?
Do you hear a motion?
I move that we accept the employee sexual abuse and sex trafficking training policy as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's unanimous.
That's
Mr.
all for
Pruitt?
tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Our next board meeting will be held March 16th, 2021 at 7 p.m. We'll stand adjourned.
To your gavel. Did you lose your